So here we have the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Just pull this tab at the bottom of the box to open. It's pretty easy to open. Pop the GoPro off here and unscrew it. This is a mount that it comes with, so you can attach the GoPro to a bike mount or a floating device of some kind. Inside we have an advertisement for GoPro Plus, screen replacement, things like that. There will be a link down in the description to that. Got some stickers here. And a really thick instruction manual on how to set up the camera and what each of the settings does and all that. Inside here, we have the GoPro battery. When you buy this camera new, it comes with one battery, though I'd recommend having more if you're going to be out for a while. It's a little tab to easily extract the battery when you need to. It also comes with a charging cable. You charge the battery inside the camera unless you have an external charging device. Here we have a suction cup mount where you can peel off the sticky and then stick this to whatever you want, a skateboard, surfboard, canoe, whatever. It's important to have a good SD card. I would recommend no less than at least 128 gigabytes. It requires a micro SD. I'm using SanDisk. You can use whatever brand you prefer. They're all pretty good. You just pop this open to get to the battery in the SD card slot. If this pops off, don't worry. It's meant to. You can just snap it back on. Put the SD card in the little slot. Again, these take micro SD cards. Line up the battery, just stick it in there. Again, this little tab is so you can easily pull the battery out when you need to. Close everything up, and your camera's good to go. You do need to download the GoPro app on your phone and then update the firmware. So now you need to, one, install the GoPro app on your phone to finish setup, and then you just leave the camera on and follow the instructions on the app in your phone. And then you should be all good to go. Alright, let's test this camera out. Oops. Okay, first of all, do not throw this camera. I know it's an action camera, and it's meant to take accidental falls and wrecks. No matter how damage-proof they say a camera is, you can destroy it. This camera was meant for accidental falls on bikes, crashes, skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding, things like that. So if you've got this camera on and you ride your bicycle off the dock into the ocean, you'll be pretty good. A big problem I worry about is the screen. There's no real protection for the screen, so you are going to want to get a screen protector and a lens protector. If you break the lens, to replace it costs about the same as a GoPro, I hear, so better off just buying a new one. So you want to protect this lens. That is one of the downsides of this camera. The other downside, really quick, is the batteries. They say that the batteries for the GoPro 6 and 7 can work in the 8. They don't. Technically they do, but if you put a 7 or a 6 or whatever battery other than the 8 in here, it's going to mess up settings. It's not going to work properly, so just get the GoPro Hero 8 battery. My beef with the battery is that you, on average, get about 1% per minute. So if you're filming or if it's just stationary, whatever, you get 1% per minute. So if your battery's at 100%, you have about 100 minutes, just over an hour to film. Audio-wise, this is decent. The built-in audio, it's decent. It's not high quality, but again, if you're doing independent film or cinema, you wouldn't really want to buy this camera anyway unless you're doing an underwater shot or an action scene where you don't want your camera to get broken as easy. But for what this camera is made for, bike riding, skiing, snowboarding, skating, the audio is amazing. It'll do. If you're looking for vlogging, sure. There is an external mic you can buy and plug into this camera, so that's good. So if you are using it for high quality vlogging, things like cinema, there is an external mic you can get. I'm going to start recording with this camera solely so you can hear the audio and the picture. What you're seeing me now on is a Sony FDR AX33, so I'm going to switch to the GoPro. So just some audio tests. And let's listen to Morton.
Same thing with phones. There's several tricks and tips that you can do off and on things, and yeah, so there's a lot of things you need to turn off in your GoPro.
There is. I complained about the battery. Yes, you can set the screen to turn off at certain times. If you're going out and planning to film for a while, you should have extra batteries, at least 2. But this is the audio test, so I'm going to show you some settings and we're going to go out and film out in the snow. So if you want to switch your filming resolution and everything, you have here, these are presets. You have your standard, you can do activity, slow-mo, come down here to plus, and it's going to take you to the settings menu. And if you want to change other settings, go here. You can do 1080p. It starts off at 60 frames per second. The standard cinema filming format is 1080p by 24 frames per second. You can do 2.7K, 4K, 4K, 60 frames per second. Most people who buy this camera are going to buy it for sports. In that case, you would probably want at least 60 frames per second. And if you're looking for the absolute best quality you can, probably 4K, 60 frames per second. It really all comes down to what you want to do and what you're looking for and what quality you're looking for. And getting back out of this screen is a little hard. It took me a little bit to figure out. You can press the record button, which will automatically start you recording, or took it a minute. You can pull down and go to the back button and take you back here. You can also choose your lens. So here we have narrow. Here we have linear. Here we have wide. And here we have super view. You can also do the same with zoom. This is 1.4x zoom. And this is 2.x zoom. Notice that you can see a little bit of grain and distortion. And I'm also holding as still as possible, but you can also see it's shaking a little more. That's because it's zoomed in so much. The more you're zoomed in, the more noticeable the shaking is going to be to you. There's no way to zoom or change the lens once you're recording. So there's hyper smooth on or off. There's also the mode. There's video mode. Looping lets you record continuously, but only save the moments you want. Record. Choose settings. Alright, you have custom, air, bike, epic, indoor, motor, mounted, outdoor, POV, selfie, skate, snow, trail, travel, water. But that's the different settings you can set it to depending on what you're doing. Alright, so here, if we click the little W here, it goes to our lens. We can change our lens. It's just a quick way of doing that. The snail. Slow-mo is on. So when the snail is blue, you have slow motion on. There's a lot of stuff you can change in these settings, preferences, all that. It's just a lot to go into. There's just a bunch of different stuff you can do. Input, output, you can reset about, just different things like that. There's just a lot of different things. Something about this camera that people didn't like is the feet. They say that the feet are unstable. Well, these are not feet. This is a way to connect the camera to other accessories like a bike mount or a water pump. These are not meant to be feet. They say that the feet are unstable because if you try to stand it up, it's going to clip back in. Yeah, because these are not meant to be feet. If you want some sort of base, buy a little mini tripod and attach it. Don't try to stand your camera up like this because it will not work. Because, again, these are not meant to be feet or any sort of stand for the camera. You can stand the camera like that, or you can put it on a tripod. Because I heard a bunch of reviews saying that the feet are unstable and it's a problem, but these clearly aren't feet. There's not even anything for it to stand on. One thing that I forgot to show you on this, another way to switch modes that's really quick, take the power button, press it once, and it switches between the modes. So you have time-lapse, video, photo. So this is a the wind audio test. As you can tell, there's wind. Seeing how my voice is in the wind, so you can hear with the unedited natural audio of the GoPro in the wind and the snow. Here we are walking normally in 2.7K, 60 frames per second. Now I'm going to run with it. Alright, that was running with the camera with Hypersmooth on. Okay, this is running with Hypersmooth off. That was running not in Hypersmooth. This is walking with Hypersmooth off. Burying it in the snow. And see, the lens is covered. That's why you need those lens protectors. There'll be a link down in the description. So this doesn't happen, it'll just slide right on off. But it's okay. There's a little bit of blur on it. Again, don't throw this camera very hard. I just did that to test it and it hit the branch. This camera is waterproof up to 33 feet. Fully submerging it. Fully submerged. One thing about this camera is that it by itself sinks, it will not float. One thing about this camera is that it by itself sinks, it will not float. So don't go out into the water expecting it to float and lose your camera. You do need to buy some sort of floating device for the camera. GoPro sells one. You can also look online. There are plenty that you can get that'll fit this camera. So you want a floating device like this. This is the actual GoPro brand floating device. It was about $30. So you're definitely going to want one of these if you're going to do any sort of water recording with this, because you don't want to lose your camera because it sinks. See, it floats, but I'm going to lose my camera. Got my foot wet. Let's go test this camera out at night. Okay, so this is the night test. It is dark outside, other than the lights from the apartments. And wow, that looks amazing. Alright, so I'm standing here on my balcony. It is nighttime, testing out the camera. And it looks pretty good. I'm really impressed with how it's looking on the screen. I've got to put it on the computer and see, but and here is also a test with the low lights off. Not as good, but still a lot better than I expected it to be. So if you're filming at dark, you definitely want to turn the low light on. As you can see, it's not as good, it's more grainy, but still better than I was expecting for the GoPro. So that was the test of the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Overall, great camera, especially for the price. Good action camera, good quality, again, especially for the price. I don't know how this compares to the Hero 7 Morton's going to do a video on that coming up soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down in the description. If you have any questions, let us know. We will get back to you or send you a link to another video explaining that. If there's any accessories, we can also help you there. Bye.